Hi, this is Dr. Sarah Chappelle again. Another update for today. It's a twofer Friday, as over the weekend I will not be posting, and I'm going to be moving to a weekly update as getting through this 5 days of taking action, a jump start to this video content on this channel. So just a few thoughts as I was sitting in the sauna and thinking about how I wanted to explain how I'm jump starting my own health. So from this 4-month period of struggle and getting stuck. So after this 5-day fast, which will conclude this evening, I'm going to break my fast with half an avocado, seasoned with sea salt and lime. So that will be the first food that I get back in. And then I'll transition to, over the weekend, an intermittent fasting model paired with a ketogenic diet. So my eating window, so intermittent fasting is having a limited eating window. So you start your first meal at say 11 or 12, and that's the time you begin, and then you add 6 hours and add 8 hours, and that's your eating window. And so for that, let's say 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 12 to 6 or 12 to 7, 12 to 8. Some people do 6 to 8 hour eating windows. You have to figure out what works for you. I'll put some links in below. Mike Mutzel, Metabolic Mike, High Intensity Health, shout out. And Dr. Jockers does a really wonderful job of explaining the ins and outs of the ketogenic diet and why it's useful and why it's helpful. And Dr. Jockers specifically has information for cycling pre-menopausal women and using the ketogenic diet, and maybe some carb cycling if you're not feeling your best on a ketogenic diet. And I'll include those links below. Anywho, so intermittent fasting paired with a ketogenic diet where I'm getting 70% or more of my calories from fat. So the approach I'm going to use here for my own reboot and reset and jumpstart is going to be these fat fasts during the week, maybe 3 to 5 days, depending on how I feel. And that's the lovely thing about this. You can go according to life and how it's going, but with the goal of building this metabolic flexibility to where you can get off the sugar train, you can get off the grain train, and get into this improved glycemic range, so your blood glucose isn't going like this all day, every day, and to stop the action of insulin always being around. It's like that door-to-door salesman that should just go away, and you stop responding and you stop being sensitive to the hormone insulin. So to recapture that hormone sensitivity, keto is beautiful. Keto is a beautiful tool to do that. So that's what I'll be doing starting tomorrow. And then each week, again, fasting. And then on the weekends, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doing this limited eating window, intermittent fasting, paired with a keto diet. If I start to feel off, depending on where I am in my cycle, Dr. Jockers does a beautiful job, again, explaining this for women who still have a menstrual cycle. I can do 1 day a week of a higher carb level. So it's called carb cycling. So if that sounds like you're like, oh my gosh, I tried the keto diet, it felt like crap, then you want to look into this, because 1 day a week of having some high quality, safe starches, so things like sweet potatoes, not for me, potato is my individual food sensitivity, or carrots, or squash, or pumpkin, or even some people find that rice is acceptable too. I know for the grain-free folks, that's kind of taboo, but there's a way of making that an anti-inflammatory food with turmeric and lovely oils and spices. So look into that if you're interested. But again, keeping up these foundations of keeping your channels of elimination open. So your bowels, making sure you have regular bowel movements, ideally one for each meal that you have, because you start this wave of contraction every time you eat. It's called peristalsis. The peristaltic wave starts when you smell food. It's called the cephalic phase. the head phase of digestion. So taking time, sitting down, smelling the food as it's being prepared, that kickstarts digestion. And as you chew and the enzymes in your mouth are released, the digestive enzymes are starting to kick up in your stomach as well, and your pancreas and the bile starts moving. All of that starts, and then this peristaltic wave starts to squeeze the food tubes, the intestines, all the way down. So that's why 20, 30 minutes later, after a meal, if you're healthy, you have an urge to go to the restroom, which is why all restaurants are required to have bathroom facilities. So that peristaltic wave should be working 20, 30, 40 minutes after you eat every meal. So 2 to 3 bowel movements, 2 to 3 eliminations a day is optimal. Some people have one solid bowel movement in the morning. And we could do a whole talk about BMs. NDs love to talk about poop, just FYI, set that expectation. You will talk about your poop in a first exam with a naturopathic physician. It's just an inevitability. But also other channels of elimination, urine, so keeping your hydration up, so your kidneys are online and functioning and cleansing, as well as breath. If you've ever thought about breathing as an exhaust pipe and taking out all of those metabolic waste products that get exchanged through that alveolar, those little air bubbles that your lungs are composed of, and the blood flow, it's so thin, so it gives off all of those metabolic waste products. You breathe out those waste products. So that's another incredibly important channel of elimination you may not think about, which is why also sleep is so incredibly important, because we tend to breathe in a more functional pattern, emphasizing the exhale at night. So if you can think about it, like you're breathing off fat at night, so you better get some sleep, right? So also taking the time to train yourself to breathe in a functional way. And again, another whole topic, I'll do a whole topic on that. I love breathing as medicine, the cheapest, easiest intervention you can ever train yourself into doing. And then of course, sweating. So whether that's done through exercise, whether that's done through sauna, which I recommend for the fasted state, although people find that in the fasted state, they can still exercise. I did some core functional training yesterday and did just fine. So keeping those channels of elimination open, that is foundational to your health. In fact, I'm going to start a health series called The Foundations of Health, and we'll take each one of these things a step at a time, so you understand where my head's at, where my training and philosophy of the foundations of health comes from. So again, look at the links below. Excellent videos that go into depth. They nerd out a little bit, especially Metabolic Mike, but I enjoy that kind of education. So I will be in touch in the next week, and look for that email campaign coming out. And my name is Dr. Sarah Chappell, and I practice here on beautiful Whidbey Island. I'll see you soon, and do take care.